Welcome to Tai Chi. Everybody ready? Let's warm up. Hands at your waist, turn your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stretch your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Drop the shoulder when you bring it. 9, 10. Bring it up and drop it. Turn the other way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Expand your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Waist exercise, interlock fingers, reach to the sky. Turn your hips and waist to peek at the heel of your opposite foot. 3, 4, 5, loosen up the hips and waist. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Airplane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bend at the hips and waist. 8, 9, 10. Touch toe. Touch your legs on the upstroke. Also come back the same way you go down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be careful. Shift your weight to the left foot. Good Tai Chi posture, dropping those shoulders, feeling grounded. Kick your right foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side, ground down, weight down. Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kick your butt. 1. Shift your weight. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Spread out a little bit. 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your knees. 1, 2, whole body. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Heisman, opening up your span, parallel feet. Choose the right side. Cross and sit on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cross and shift your weight, ground down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Short one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, just going back now. Just going to kind of go over some of the warm-up exercise so we can get the full understanding of how to do them. So when you turn your shoulders, you lift them up, you bring it around, curl them round. But once you're ready to drop, just drop that energy down. Don't keep on holding it, okay? And then do a few of these to understand, and then do a few coming forward. So when you come forward, you want the shoulders to kind of come dip towards the center, okay? So good. So in the warm-up exercise, actually, they're exercises that other Chinese disciplines use to use as either movements or stances or warm-ups that someone has, or my master has pulled together to warm up, to do warm-up exercise. On the knee one now, although we're warming up our knees, we don't want to just concentrate and do only knees. We want the whole body to move, otherwise we're going to put pressure on our knees. So if we can do it with me, bend the knee, turn the whole body, dip down, bring it up, tip down, bring it up. Other way, dip down, bring it up. So that the whole body is in play rather than just concentrating on the knees. Whenever we're doing anything to get a better feel for the ground, I'd say split the feet a little bit more rather than come tight in. Okay, let's try this. Everybody come tight in, and you feel the weight of what your feet are bearing, okay? So that you know that. Now just take one foot and split it, and now sink. What's more secure? To me, the security comes when you split a little bit and then sink down rather than keep 2 feet together, okay? So that's something to take note of. All right, what I'm going to do now is set you up for good Tai Chi posture, and then we're going to try to incorporate all of our movements in the 10 form. Okay, rushing it a little bit. Let's warm up our posture and our alignment, okay? Good, okay, good Tai Chi posture. Do it while I explain it, okay? So good Tai Chi posture means head erect, shoulders dropping. You found that your chest dipped in, your butt is tucked under rather than straight, and your knees are relaxed. Your tongue is on your palate, and you're thinking good thoughts, okay? Let's put our T stance together, okay? Let's Let's put our hands at our waist. When we put our hands at our waist, we're still in Tai Chi posture. Our shoulders are dropped, okay? Here we go. T stance, the weight is on the right or the back foot. Only the weightless foot can move. T stance, L stance. What do we do? Turn the hips and waist, move the energy, go into a bow stance. Adjust the back foot. Sit back, sit down on that imaginary stool. Twist step, root down, T stance. Weight on the left, step out on an L. Move the energy from the back foot all the way across, flatten down, adjust the back foot, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, root down, T stance, out and to the side, L, turn the hips and waist, adjust the back foot, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, root down, T stance, L stance, move the energy, adjust the back foot, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step. Okay, time for you to watch, okay? Okay, so everybody's doing good. There's, in each of you, there's something that can be fixed up. So see if you can find out what that fixed up is by just watching, okay? I'm gonna face this way, so it's gonna be a little harder for you to follow, or you're not gonna follow, okay? But you're gonna follow mentally, but not physically. In a T stance, the energy is all planted in the cap of the letter T. The stem is the one that's weightless, and only that weightless foot can move. When the weightless foot can move, that means 99% of your weight is on the rooted or grounded foot. It's holding gravity. It's helping me through obeying gravity. T stance. The L stance now is out and to the side because we want this room to turn. But the room now, the energy is here. It cannot just jump there. It has to grow within your system, all the way up through your chest, through your shoulders, neck and head, and then it can turn. Then it can transfer. In this position, many of you are good, but not good enough, okay? So this has to be a straightaway. This has to be a 45-degree angle. Cannot stay this way now, otherwise you're gonna have trouble transferring the weight to the middle. So you're gonna have to adjust that, okay? The knee not be on your toe, because once you do that, what happens? I throw my Tai Chi posture off. My Tai Chi posture should be straight here. But once I go forward, my spine goes there, my knee goes beyond, and I'm dipping, ready for a fall. So we wanna make sure that spine is erect, but not straight up this way, because that's not Tai Chi posture. You got out of your ragdoll position. You're gonna drop, you're gonna sink, you're gonna find your center. To move now, I have to give up a weight or make an insubstantial foot. So I sit down, I sit back. I roll into one, sit down, sit back, or sit back, sit down. I don't want to sit back, sit down, because I will fall back. So there's that small sense of coming back and sitting down, still keeping my spine straight. Once I do this, I'm lessening the weight of my front foot, therefore I can pivot. Then I can root down, because then I need one substantial foot, one insubstantial foot. And here goes the pattern. T stands, L stand. Move the energy, not just turn the hips and waist and then come down. When you're down like this now, make sure that both feet are down. Don't lift up any of the heel or the toe, because you'll create a fall, okay? So any questions on that? And it will take, it'll take some experience and period of time to get used to, so that you feel the difference in what I'm trying to convey. I think everybody can more or less do it, or understand it, but the hard part is this one. What do? You have both feet flat, but the center should be still straight, your spine should be straight up. There is not a 50-50 distribution, maybe like a 60-40, but I want to get away from that 60-40 because then people will start to then shift to really try to give the front foot more weight. So just 50-50 straight up, you should feel grounded. Now, if everybody can get into this position with me, let's practice our sit back and sit down, okay? So first of all, we're in a bow stance, the bow and the arrow. The arrow now cannot be straight and taut like this because we're locking our joint. It should be nice and loose, but not to the point where it's dipping down and throwing my Tai Chi posture off, okay? So you're saying, okay, I'm in the best posture. Now, the left foot is the front foot. I want you to drag it back and stop at the other foot. All right, don't adjust it, okay? There should be a gap. There should be a space. The better you can space it, the better you can allow your knees to turn. What you don't want is for the front foot to clash, because there will be no room for you to turn. That's why the L stance is out and to the side, so that when you drag that foot back, there is a gap. All right, let's go. T stance, hands at your waist. T stance, to get into an L, we need to come out and to the side on our heel, move the energy from the flat of our foot, turn our hips and waist, drop down, bow stance. Okay, knee not beyond the toe, 45 in the back. What are you going to do? Sit back and drop down on that imaginary stool to allow a twist step, root down, T stance, out and to the side, L, move the energy from the back foot, turn the hips and waist, adjust the back foot, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, root down, T stance, L stance out and to the side, turn the hips and waist, transfer the energy, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance. Okay, more or less I think you're understanding, okay? So understanding is one level. The deeper level is then to make that mind work through your body so that the body feels it's a natural movement. Because you know, once you start to put your upper body and you're in motion and in rhythm, if the feet alignment is incorrect because of so many other demands on you, then something's going to give way. The Tai Chi is then going to be incorrect. Then we say, well, what's happening? If Tai Chi is a soft and gentle exercise, why am I having problems with my knee or my hips? Then we have to retract and look back and see what is our alignment. Is it as best as we can do it? Or how can we correct it? So I don't want to linger too much because I know in our mindset we're looking for some set or form or sequence that we need to accomplish to show that we know Tai Chi. But if your formation is correct, we can move a little quicker. But like anything about Tai Chi, we have to be very patient and enjoy the journey. So what we're going to do now is going to do the 10 form and try to incorporate good Tai Chi posture, shifting of weight to balance better, and all those principles that we've gone over, knee not beyond the toe, using the core to turn, to rotate, okay, using our hips and waist to drive our motions, okay? So good Tai Chi posture, what is that? Head erect, chin slightly down, middle finger to the side seam so that our shoulders are dropped, Our chest is sunken. Our butt is tucked in there. Our knee now is not bent or anything in between. It's just relatively loose and not locked in, but ready for energy to flow. Tongue on our palate, good thoughts going on. Commencing form. Shift weight to the right, feeling the right foot getting heavier, getting the left heel up because it's transferring the energy. On the toe, we're going to open 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, even distribution. Hands rotate to the middle of the thigh as we take a deep breath in as we elevate both hands. At shoulder level, we reverse the process. We drop our shoulders, we flex our knees, we make ourselves small. Left hand in the middle, right hand rises up higher as we glance. We open the palms to the ceiling. We bring the back hand to our ear. We turn our head and neck. We meet in the center and we pull back, we push forward. Other side. Left hand rises higher, open to the ceiling. Glance at the back hand as it comes to the ear. Turn the head and neck. Meet in the center. Push forward, pull back. Repulse of the monkey. Okay, so is your right hand like where mine is, sitting at the hip? Is your left hand pushing or catching the ball in the center of you? Now we're ready for the next movement. We're going into a T stance, and we're going to set it up correctly to brush our knee. T stance first, right hand higher, left hand to the shoulder, weight on the right. We're going to multitask. Let's warm the three things up, at least three things. Right hand comes to the ear. Give me three of those. 2, 3. Second thing that goes on, two things go on. The left hand drops down. How? The left hand drops down. Two things happen. Hand to the ear, left hand drops down. Ear and hand, ear and hand. Okay, and when we do this, we're thinking ear and hand, yes, and we're doing that. But make sure now it's not purely just a hand motion, but something that's thought through and you're using your core. Three things happen. We're going to step out from a T stance to an L stance and continue with the hand to the ear and the hand coming down. Three things happen. First, bear down on the right, T stance. Move L, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee, adjust the back foot. The right hand catches a ball coming in the center of you. The left hand is holding a top of a ball to the side of your thigh. Good bow stance, right? Now, sit back and sit down on that imaginary stool to alleviate the weight of the front. Pivot. T stance first and set it up correctly. We're doing the other side. Three things happen. What are they? Ear, hand comes down, heel comes down. Turn the hips and waist, move the energy through to brush your knee. The left hand should be catching a ball in the center of you. The left is the leg is your arrow, but should not be locked in. The right foot should be advanced, the knee not be on the toe. The right hand is holding a ball to the side of your thigh. Okay? Allows you then to sit back and sit down on that imaginary stool. Twist step, center with a ball on a T stance. Okay? So the ball is right hand chest level. The left hand is 2 inches below your navel in your danten. You're centered. The elbows need to come in a little slightly, not flared out like this, but why? We're centering ourselves. We're consolidating our energy towards the center on a T stance. The energy lies on our right. We want to dispense it to get into an L stance, to part the wild horse's mane. Our left foot is ready to go. Our bottom hand is also left, so therefore we know it's correct. Left, left. To part the wild horse's mane, we're going to come out as if to go up the horse's mane, okay? T stance, step out on an L, bottom hand advances, move the energy from the back foot, go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, root down, center with a ball on a T stance. Notice that our right foot is weightless and our right hand is on the bottom, therefore we're correct. T stance, step out L, bottom hand advances, turn the hips and waist, move the energy, part the wild horse's mane. Flip the forward hand so you no longer see the palm. Join it with the left hand and face the palm towards you. We're in a bow stance. We're at 3 o'clock. We want to get out to 9 o'clock on the face of a clock. Sit back, sit down, twist step, turn the hips and waist, you get to 12. How do we get up to the 9? Pivot on the heel of your left foot. There's 9 o'clock. But 9 o'clock, two things happen. We flip the hands, exchange of places, and close our feet. Turn our hips and waist to drive our movements to 12. Turn our hips and waist a little bit more to get to 3. Two things happen. Flip the hands, open the feet. 12 o'clock. Turn the hips and waist a little bit more. This time only one thing happens. We flip the hands. Turn the hips and waist. We get to 12. But at 3 o'clock, two things happen. We flip the hands. We close the feet. 12 o'clock. What happens at 9? Two things. Flip the hands, open the feet. 12 o'clock. We want to get out of cloud hands, so at 3 o'clock we only flip the hands. But at 12 o'clock, we shift our weight to the left foot. We come up as a golden cockerel. Come down, shift your weight, ground down on the right, push down with the right hand, pull up with the left, down, 50-50. We want to gather the energy, want to center the energy. Right hand is on the outside, and we're going to kick out right, down, shift the weight to the right, left hand on the outside, left foot ready to go, kick out, left, holding our ball on a T stance. Right here now, you should feel that the energy is all on our left, and you should feel relaxed. The shoulders should be dropped, and your ball is centering you, so you're in a real optimal position. You're obeying gravity. T stance, L stance, bottom hand advances to ward off our opponent. Use your forearm to push out your opponent. Good Tai Chi posture. Turn the hips and waist, reposition the hands. You're going to pull the opponent down as if to grasp the bird's tail. Sit down, sit back, look back. Contact. Turn the hips and waist, center of the body, push the energy through. Separate the energy. Roll back, sit down. Spiral up, lunge forward. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Root down on the right. Right hand on the bottom to hold your ball. Optimal position. T stance. We're going to ward off our opponent. How? Step out on an L. Bottom hand advances to forearm. Turn the hips and waist. Forearm your opponent. Turn the hips and waist, reposition the hands. Grasp the bird's tail, pull back, pull down, sit back. Turn at the hips and waist contact, turn again, push from the center. Separate the energy, roll back, sit down. Spiral up, lunge forward. I'm going to apparently close. Sit back, sit down. Pivot in, pivot out, pivot in. Embrace the tiger with the right hand inside the cross. Shift the weight over. Rotate on your wrists so that now your palms are facing you. Bring the tiger slightly closer to your chest. Push him away one last time. Separate the energy, palms are down, shoulder width away. What do? Make yourself small. How? Drop your shoulders, tuck your elbows, let gravity take you back home as you flex your knees. Wrap around, up on the heel, on the toe, off the ground, toe, arch, heel. Closing form. Okay? So at the end, when you close, you're still in a semi-squat position, and then you keep the position, and you don't necessarily have to shoot up and get back into out of Tai Chi position. So what's important is that, okay, and with the Yang 10 form and most of the forms, where we started, we tend to go back at the end. So we want to make the adjustment and take a few inches forward, okay? So that's the nature, the characteristic of positioning that just occurs. Nothing is wrong. So I think you all did well. I think that, you are fast learners, but don't, I might caution you that your Tai Chi will improve over time, and it just kind of grows on you. And make sure that your alignment is not only correct, but you feel comfortable with it. Alignment meaning mainly the lower portion of your body. That to me is the foundation. If something's not correct here, the bottom, nothing's going to really work or make that connection smooth. And we must have spent a good 8 minutes on just that 10 form, and usually if done with music, something like 4 minutes. It's not necessarily fast, but the way we just did it was with instructions and making sure that, everything was as clear as possible. So now I'm going to take a movement or two and work on it, okay? And yet at the same time incorporate the principles. So I'm going to use, start with parting of the wild horse's mane and then move into grasping of the bird's tail or warding off. Okay, can sometimes be confusing. In parting of the wild horse's mane, we're here, we're here, we're here. Basic foundations, okay? And you heard me say that the left foot is ready to go, so people who first start say, well, is my ball like this? No way can your ball be like this because something's going to cross. So the best way to remember is that if your left foot is ready to go, the left hand has to be on the bottom. The size of the ball is important, okay? Because it helps you to center. When we part the wild horse's mane, we step out, but the energy has to grow within us and then turn the hips and waist and the hands come out. Okay, so that's basically it. But I want to make a point that if the hands were like this, let's see. If we did not turn our hips and waist, this would be your motion, which is incorrect. So we know that the finished product has to be up the horse's mane. But to get to it, we have to transfer the energy, move the hips and waist, and direct our movements. So there's very little isolated movement of the hands. Once we set the hands up correctly, the hips and waist will deliver it for us. Okay, let's try that. Right hand on the bottom, left hand on the top. Good Tai Chi posture, not hovering over it, not extra extending of that back, but gently moving it towards the center, feeling grounded, feeling secure. Left foot has hardly any weight. T-stance, step out on an L, turn the hips and waist, move the energy, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball. This helps you with centering and balance because you're on one foot, you're grounded, you're rooted. T-stance, step out on an L, bottom hand advances, move the energy, turn the hips and waist, go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, root down, center for better balance, root down. T-stance, step out and to the side, L stance, turn the hips and waist, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, center with a ball and a T, step out on an L, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, center, T, step out and to side, L, move the energy, bottom head advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, one more. Hold your ball, root down, step out, bottom head advances to go up the horse's mane. Okay, so the left hand should be to the side of your body and dropped. Yeah, dropped. Yeah. You should feel rooted, okay? The front foot should be flat. Both feet are flat. Okay? Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Center with a ball on a T stance. Okay? And this position is important. Let's check it. We're rooted on the right. We're centered. We're heavy. We're secure. Then we can transfer the energy. We've stored enough energy to allow the energy to be transferred. If we're not, we're usually standing up like this. Can you stand up like this so that there's no flexing of that right knee? This is incorrect because more than likely the left foot has too much weight. To bear the body weight that you have to flex a little bit to lighten up the other insubstantial foot. Okay, so that's something like a self-test. You can evaluate yourself. So the size of the ball is correct, but this arm, this should not be up. This shoulder should not be raised. It should drop down. Obey gravity. Okay, not obey gravity, because that's not obeying gravity. This guy tips down. This does not come up, because if it does, your shoulders are up. You have to drop them down to feel weighted and centered. Okay? To now do grasping of the bird's tail. Okay? So parting the wild horse's mane, we go up the horse's mane. The horse is right in front of us. To ward off, grasping of the bird's tail takes in two sub-movements. The first one is to ward off your opponent. Second one is to grasp the bird's tail or pull down the opponent. But we refer to the movement as grasping of the bird's tail. Because Tai Chi is built on martial arts, each movement has a derivative. So in grasping of the bird's tail, we're warding off our opponent. but we're using our forearm to push him out. If you can see, we only need a space to protect ourselves, because once we extend that space, we are out of Tai Chi posture. Once we forearm him, we are in secure, safe, the strongest position. But once we decide that we need to push further, we are going to go down. So Tai Chi posture plays a big part, or monopolizes our formation in all of Tai Chi, since Tai Chi is built in martial arts. If we're on a T, we're on an L, we're going to come out and we're going to ward off this way. We're going to forearm him. We're not going to forearm him up here, we're not going to forearm him there, because each of those extremes throws my Tai Chi posture off. We center with a ball, left foot ready to go, left hand's ready to go. We step out on an L, bottom hand advances to ward off. Once we have this secure, then we grasp the bird's tail. We turn our hips and waist, we reposition our hands. The left hand is higher, palms away. Right hand shorter, palm is up. How do we get into a sit down, sit back? We're in a bow stance. Sit down, sit back, turn at the hips and waist to look back. We contact. We turn our hips and waist, center of the body, we push the energy out. Separate our hands and separate our energy, wear our mittens, sit back and sit down, drop down. Spiral up, push them up, push them out. Other side, sit back, sit down. Twist step, root down, hold your ball, T stance. Make sure you have good posture, make sure you're dropped down, make sure you're obeying gravity. T stance. Out into the side L, bottom hand advances, move that energy, forearm your opponent. Boom, stop. Turn the hips and waist, reposition your hands. Stay in a bow stance. Sit, back, sit, down as you pull your opponent down or grasp the bird's tail. Contact, turn the hips and waist, push from the center, separate the energy, shoulder width away, wearing your mittens, bow stance, sit, back, sit, down. Power that him up, push him out. Here's a drill, sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball. We're going to forearm our opponent when we grasp the bird's tail. Here we go. T stance, L stance, bottom hand advances to ward off, forearm your opponent, just that distance that you need. Turn the hips and waist, reposition the hands. Bring down the bird's tail as you sit back, look back, contact. Turn the hips and waist, center, push the energy through, separate the energy, roll back, sit down, spiral up, lunge forward. Sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball, one more time, root down, make sure the shoulders are down, T stance, L stance. Forearm your opponent, move that energy, turn the hips and waist, reposition the hand, sit down, sit back, look back, contact, turn, push, separate, roll back, sit down, spiral up, lunge forward. Sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball. Okay, this time you're going to watch now, okay? And then you're going to see how I position my hands and what where my hands are faced, okay? Let's see, maybe I'll do it this way so you have a better orientation. Okay, your job is to figure out how the energy is being transferred and how the hands are moving or in what direction they end up. T stance, L stance, bottom hand advances to forearm your opponent. Turn my hips and waist, reposition my hands. So you're watching so that you can see where my hands are, okay? Everybody's watching. Then you're gonna sit down, sit back. My hands are just there, but the direction and the motion of where they're going is dependent on how well I can think through the movement and roll back and sit down. If I can sit down, my hands go down. Can't sit down, my hands should not move. Everything's dictated by the core, by the hips and the waist, and the mind, of course. Okay, watch the other side. Okay, your turn is to watch. T stance, L stance. Bottom hand advances to forearm. Turn my hips and waist allows me to then reposition my hands. If I didn't turn my hips and waist, I have no business out here. How do I get back there? All I do is leave my hands here, but the power of the hips and waist and the core help me How do I do? What do I do? I want to get back. Do I just bring it back and push it down? Leave it here. I sit back, I sit down. I spiral up, I lunge forward. Everything is being dictated. Watch again, okay? Everything, you ask yourself, how are her hands moving? What is being led to make her hands move? Are the hands going for the ride? Other side. How am I going to come back? Power of the hips and the waist. Sinking. Moving the energy. Okay? So that part of Tai Chi is like, if you don't know anything, it's very magical. It has some mystiqueness about it. That's fresh in your mind. Okay, this time I'm going to undo all these principles, and I'm going to show you how Tai Chi should not be, okay? I'll try my best, okay? Try my best. That's not so good, okay? Not so good in that I'm not fully. So what's happening? It's not only fast, but there's no thought going through. There's no organization. There's no plan. The plan is get to the movement and do it because we need to see you forearm. We need to see you pulling down the bird. But that is totally incorrect, no matter how much, even if you slowed it down, because my body is not thinking it through, it's not using my hips and waist. It's merely a hand motion. And say I didn't do it as fast and I didn't do it as hard, but I still use the softness, but I only use my hands. That's still not Tai Chi. That's sort of, if you think about it, You say, well, why not? It looks like she's flowing. It looks like it's beautiful. It looks like, you know, I'm mesmerized because the hands are flowing. But it's not Tai Chi. You have to direct your movements through your hips and waist and sinking and allowing the hands to move only because the body is moving. It seems like it's a difficult task, but the challenge is we have a body, we're endowed with a body that can make it act in one unit, and that's what we're striving for. The best efficient use of our body to allow the internal energy to flow to make a movement happen. That's our goal, okay? It will come. It will come through the strength of your legs, the strength of your hips and waist, strength meaning the power of it being flexible, not necessarily full of muscle, but also through the mind. If we accept it and we learn, our mind will then drive our body to movement. Then there is true relaxation. There will be tranquility. But if the mind is not driven, the body is not driven through the muscles and the core, then it becomes very stressful, okay? Or there is no relaxation. Just the ebbing and flowing, the substantial, insubstantial, helps us with relaxation. In Tai Chi, we are never straight-legged. We're always in a semi-squat position. If you're in a semi-squat position, you feel nature, you feel gravity. Therefore, you are building strength, you're in tune, you're connected. Those are the kinds of things that will come to us. We don't necessarily have to seek it and try to find it, but just through the discipline of moving in the most optimal way, we'll get there.
I just wanted to talk about the recycling of the energy. At the core of moving your waist, etc., is from centralized. You have your stability in your feet, but it comes from your feet up here, translated to here, out here, out here. When you finish out here, comes back this way, comes back down again, then goes back out again. So it's just recycling the energy, but that's where this part is so important. This is the control tower. You try to get it back down to here, but you come back here, the control tower directs which way you're going to go. Otherwise what happens, it comes up here and you just let it go. You haven't really released it in an efficient manner. You didn't use your whole power. You don't take advantage of the exercise.
Okay, good. So unlike, say, another type of exercise, say just take the power walking or running, your Tai Chi is unlike those kinds of exercise because the energy that you have never is left. You're building more energy because whatever you're releasing is within your system. It's like Ken says, it's returning back to you. So over time, that energy is stored. It will be there whenever we need it. So you often hear that after an hour of Tai Chi, you feel energized. That's the premise. You feel energized. You don't feel wasted and that you need to, take a nap. I mean, you do because you're at peace. You're learning something new, but you should feel you can do more things or your thinking becomes more clear, okay? I thought that I would go over cloud hands, and maybe that's food for thought for next week, okay? Because it's almost, time's almost up. But in cloud hands, the best way I can teach it to you is like you have a big old-fashioned round clock with numbers, okay? And with the direction of 12 o'clock, your 9 o'clock, right? And your 3 o'clock here, something happens on those three numbers. And when I say two things happen, it's not just the hand, it's also the feet. But when one thing happens, it's only the hand. But here again, we don't do cloud hands like this. What's wrong with that? My hands look like they're in the right position. They look like they're flowing. But I'm not engaging my core. Okay, so all I need to do is set my hand up, I move my hand. I move my waist. If I don't move my waist, my hands stay here. But once my hips and waists are turning, my hands move. But it's not just merely like this. If you watch carefully, if my hips and waists move, my hands move, but not on their own. Maybe there, but watch. The hands are left here. If my hips and waists don't move, they don't move, my hands don't move. But once they are activated, they move. And we can do it in any fashion. If my hands will move because they're attached to my hips and waists. This is not Tai Chi. But once we know that 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we have to get to 12 o'clock, the hips and waists move my motion. Okay? So let's leave with cloud hands, okay? So to get in and out of cloud hands is kind of tricky. We'll leave it for next week. But cloud hands occurs after you part the wild horse's mane, okay? Let's see. Let's just start. This is a drill, okay? So we know that our feet are like piano keys. We're directing the movement like a crab walk, going sideways. And when we need to go the other way, we firm down and we open. And like a piano, and like our toes and our fingers, we press down. With that down, this guy can come up, and we lead with the toe or lead with the fingers on a piano, okay? So here's our clock in front of us, we're imagining, and we're in a 1 or 2 o'clock position. But once we're in motion, we can go out to the 9, we can go out to the 3. But in a stable position, we're about 1 or 2. The left hand is higher, the right hand is lower. One hand is higher, one hand is lower, one hand and the palm is looking at us, and the top hand, the palm is always facing us, whereas the bottom hand is always a push and the palm is away. We're only doing hand now, okay? 12 o'clock, we drop that bottom hand, turn our hips and waists. 9 o'clock, 2 things happen. Well, one thing happens for now. We change positions of the hand. So now the right hand, palm is facing, turn our hips and waists. 12 o'clock, you have a stem of the top hand and dangling of the bottom hand at your danten. Turn the hips and waists. 2 o'clock, what happens? 2 things happen. Flip the hands. The left hand is higher. Turn the hips and waists. 12 o'clock. Turn the hips and waists. 9 o'clock, 2 things happen. Flip the hands, okay, and we're only doing one thing happens because we're not doing our feet right now. Turn the hips and waists, 12 o'clock. Turn the hips and waists, 2 o'clock. Flip the hands. Turn the hips and waists. Do not move your hand. Change position. Begin to turn the hips and waists to 12. Turn the hips and waists to get to 3. 2 things happen. One thing happens for us right now. 12 o'clock. So let's go a little faster. If my hips and waists move faster, hey, my hands move in sync. Okay, so I want you to play with this a little bit. To cinch down the principle that if my hips and waists move and direct me, my hands have very little thing to do. It goes for the ride. Okay, and then you can say, okay, time to slow it down. But make sure the hips and waists are engaged. And if you were to do it for 15, 10, 5 minutes, you'll say, wow, this is very relaxing. At the same time you're doing this, you must ask yourself, are my shoulders dropped? The shoulders should be dropped, although my hands are a little bit elevated. Okay? On and on. So in this movement, we are using matching of the hips and waist, although we were in a steady position, but you can see that the hips and waist were directing our movements. We're also erect. We're also going to shift our weight as we crab walk, so that's another substantial, insubstantial. We're also rotating on our axis. Our axis is our spine, and we're not just keeping it steady like this, but we're turning, rotating. We're a marionette, and we're dangling, and the clouds are being moved and flowing in this direction, in those finer details through the movement and the mind of ourselves. Not like this, not like this, but like this. Okay? So get that, understand that, and then we'll put it together. Then say to yourself, am I applying my core, my hips and waist, my weightless foot, and insubstantial, substantial in all my movements? Then most of all, make sure that you're still in good Tai Chi posture. And you can check yourself and make sure that you're not erect and locking any of your joints, especially your knees, but also your shoulder joints and also your arm joints. You don't want to part the wild horse's mane and make it like this. I'm locked here, but I don't want to be just floppy. I want to have some firmness, but not restrict anything in the body, okay? There's a tendency for men, we find, who can't really sit down. So you want to just maybe drill yourself. Stand in good Tai Chi posture and just weight down. Stand up. And so you want that sensation. And you want to also then split your feet. And you want to say, sit back, sit down. Just keep on doing this so that if you know that you can sit back, but do you know that you can sit down? Even if it doesn't show or appear that way, there should be some beginning so that the mind says, I know what that means and I can do it. Then you say to yourself, I get another sensation because I'm not just sitting back, but I'm sitting back, and whatever you can give to lower yourself is fine. You will feel that there is more weight in the back. The knee may not show that much, but eventually it'll show fully. But how do you get there? It gets softer, just like a rubber band, over time. But in the beginning, it's pretty tight. So we don't want to rush that process, okay? We don't want to, everything's going to be gentle, everything's a journey, everything's going to be gradual, okay?
Maybe trying to understand what is hip motion versus waist motion. Chinese don't talk about that. They just say the waist, but they mean the hip and the waist. Waist movement, hip movement. The top of the body, my back is not bending so much as this is hip. So when you move, it's a combination of rotation as well as this terrific joint, ball joint that can go in multi-direction. So, you know, how much of it is waist movement versus how much of it is hip movement. I think it's debatable from whatever maneuver you're doing, but it's a combination of both. So I think what Lucille was trying to say is, it seems women are more natural. They're very hip-oriented. Men are pretty much soldiers, and their backs are rather stiff. So waist work is okay. But when you tell them to do this, for instance, you know, if we come back and Tai Chi posture is to be vertical, okay? So if I'm here, I can be, Tai Chi posture is okay. But if I sit back, bend the hip, I'm still in Tai Chi posture. Versus if I'm like this, straight-legged, you lost something here. Versus the hip is bent, not straight, it's bent a little bit. So that's the part of the body has maintained Tai Chi posture, as opposed to Tai Chi posture. Where is, you try and do that. I think the men ought to try and do that. Here, stay up and just come back. As opposed to if you sit back, everything drops to the bottom. The stability drops to the bottom. Okay, so practice that. In all the Tai Chi movements, you don't have to break down how much is hip and how much is waist, but try to put both joint complexes into play when you have this move the waist that the Chinese talk about.
So actually, I'm very optimistic. I think that, you know, you folks are really following through and understanding, and it's just a matter of time and experience. And I think what we can capitalize on is the feeling that you have. If the feeling is a sensation that you feel that you are sinking and you feel that you're connected and grounded, that's the start that we want. But we have to establish it first. And everybody's unique, okay, and everybody's different, and we'll get there somehow. Very positive, okay? So good job. See you next time.